Have you got a Before the Sirens t-shirt on? You have?
Hey, never. Who has? Yes. Get in there.
Represent.
Long sleeve. Hoodie, long sleeve.
Oh, you spoil me.
So go and get
Oh,
mine.
look at you all. David,
Alan, do you want to share your band's
Lowdown
news
t-shirt
that's been
on.
announced today?
Sorry?
Alan, do you want to
Hello.
share your band's news that's been announced today in case anybody hasn't seen it?
Yeah, thank you. We had confirmation this afternoon. It went out on the social medias that we'll be playing MoFest this year over at Melbourne Rock Club, bank holiday weekend in August. So yeah, it should be good fun. You were there last year, weren't you, Andy?
Third was our debut show. Brilliant
Yeah.
little festival, and I've got no excuse not to go because it's literally 3 miles from my house.
So I'll buy you a pint, is what I said.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Any news
Yeah.
from Lowdown that we can share as well while we've got you here, Dave?
Oh, there's a lot. Not sure if I'm able to share anything yet. But we're talking to Kariga to get them over here.
Ah.
So hopefully
Get them a
at
Club
some
85.
point, you know, once I've done the rest of the planning, I'll get them over here for a couple of dates. And they're well up for it. So yeah, Kariga going to
You'll
come
be going
over.
over there as well, aren't you, Dave? Playing a gig in Sweden.
We are indeed.
Exchange trip.
Yep.
That should
be
be
good.
fun.
Networking, as Nicola said in the chat. You're right. You know, what
Yeah.
could be better? So
Yeah,
That's
it should be
what it's
good. Going to go to IKEA, pick up some desks, maybe. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure there's other things in Sweden than IKEA, Dave.
Pretty certain there's not. I think
It's
Kariga.
just one big giant IKEA.
Isn't it IKEA anyway, if you watch the adverts?
I don't know, mate. You'd know.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Alan.
Right. Should we look, we've got some questions. So I have set these guys some questions. You've had them for about at least, I don't know, 10 days, something like that. I should say, originally we were planning to have Mike from Kodama also on the channel today, but unfortunately Mike didn't finish work on time, unfortunately. So Mike is going to join us at the end of May's live stream instead. So hopefully, as long as he's not working. So apologies for that. Okay, so I've got 6 questions I set these guys to talk about. And the first one is, who is each of ours favorite singer or front person, whichever way you want to call it, and the reason why? So I thought this would be quite an interesting one. Now, before we do that, would anyone like to try and guess the other persons who we think their first favorite person is? I think Andy should go first as far as telling us who your favorite singer is. I'm going to guess it's Aaron Stainforth because that's the only person that I know that you like. So I'm going to say it's Aaron Stainforth.
Yes, you're right.
Yay!
Dave, is this our personal favourite singer who we think the best singer is?
No, personal favourite.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is live.
I guess Kirk's.
Yeah,
Well,
I'd have a go at
you-
that as well. You go first, Andy.
You know, it could be several. I'm going to go with Mike Patton.
Yeah, that's what I would have said.
Correct. Mike Patton, first or Mr. Bungo.
Robert Smith, close second, perhaps. I don't know.
Chris Cornell
Okay.
as well. And Devin Townsend.
Okay, we might as well guess each person's then, and then we can go back to asking why then as we started this way. Should we try and guess who Alan's favourite singer is?
Yes.
I reckon it.
Jesse Leach.
Jesse Leach. Maybe Howard Jones from Killswitch.
Oh yeah, Howard Jones is a good point actually, because he's more of a clean singer. So actually, yeah, Howard Jones is the one I'm going to go with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for Chino Moreno as your favourite.
Deftones.
singer. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Could be James Hetfield as well, with the guitar on the back.
Oh, right, yeah. It's hiding behind there somewhere.
Oh,
You can't
yeah,
see
yeah,
past the chair.
Andy, you got any ideas?
No, not. Yeah, I'd go with the Kill Switch guys.
Apparently, someone reckons it's Miles Kennedy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah.
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 Is it Miles Kennedy?
There's two. Yeah, there's two of them really. Miles in his day and Howard. Yeah, man, definitely.
Wow! Congratulations to ADP. Who's ADP? Don't know. Someone called ADP. Guess that.
I don't recognise that handle, but yeah, yes, very good.
Is that the ADP Rock and Metal channel that have joined us?
There's a new one trying to take our mantle. How dare you?
Come on, who do we think for Dave? I think we've got to think.
That wild.
So does Zach Wild do the vocals for Black Label Society?
Of
Yeah.
course he does. Yeah.
It's gotta be Zach Wild.
No. I'm going to go for Chris Cornell, Soundgarden. I think he's your favourite vocalist of all time.
I think in terms of his songwriting and his melodies and whatnot, I would go for a bit of a left field one and go Mark Tremonti in Tremonti.
Ah.
Well, glad you asked. So it's actually really difficult because I'm actually very similar to Alun. That in its day, Miles Kennedy, hands down, I would stroke his member because he was just untouchable, absolutely untouchable. However, and actually me and Alun were talking the other day about this, actually about Miles Kennedy, that he doesn't sing the same anymore. He doesn't belt it out anymore. He goes for his head voice, which is the more falsetto than actually using his diaphragm to push. So I think now it would probably be Mark Tremonti.
Okay.
Dave.
Dave, yes. How about to Dave? Who was on his idols list, Kirk? Been so long ago.
Yeah, so he had Pitch Shifter, The Wanted, Rob Flynn from Machine Head. Alec
Never going to guess it. It's never going to happen.
Ronnie James Dio. Oh no, you don't like that era of Black Sabbath, do you?
Rob Halford.
Hard rock. It's going to be a hard rock singer, isn't it? If we,
I reckon it might be someone like Rob Plant.
Lizzie Hale.
oh,
How
yeah.
the hell did you get that?
Now we got it. That's it.
yeah.
The male vocalist, yeah, Lizzie Hale.
Lizzie Hale. How
That's
did
the
you?
answer.
What?
Yeah, and rightly so. Great choice.
Yeah, great singer.
As soon as you said rock, it's because he said rock singer, and then he went, "Oh yeah, who does he like rock people wise?" Damn it! I thought that was going to be a tough one.
I was going
Right.
to say who's our favourite female vocalist then, but not that we should be separated.
No, I was originally going to do that, and I thought, well, let's not
Yeah.
like split them by stereotype,
Yeah.
female, male. It's whoever's your favourite. So
Sorry,
we now need
Bjork.
to go round.
Yeah, sorry Bjork, sorry Tatiana from Ginger.
Okay, so Andy, Aaron Stainford, why is he your favourite singer?
Just because of his creative talent, really. I mean, he's the lyricist, and if you've read any or followed any My Dying Bride lyrics, they're just full of wonderful language. He creates characters, he creates stories. You know, when he's sort of singing the songs live, he becomes the characters, you know, the protagonist in each of these tales. They're just sort of, you know, it's got such a range of vocal styles as well, from, you know, the beginning of My Dying Bride's career up to date. He's got a, you know, fantastic look, just performance-wise. I don't know, it's hard to categorise really, and it does probably boil down to the fact that he's the front man of my favourite band. So nothing more elaborate than that really. He's just a very talented man, not just inside band itself, you know, photography and artwork and all this kind of thing. But yeah, I just love what he and his brand creates, from, you know, the music, the imagery, the sort of artwork, everything. Nothing more sort of contrived than that. It's just,
You just love it.
a very talented vocalist, performer, songwriter, lyricist, artist in general. Yeah.
Okay, Kirk, for you, why did you pick Mike Patton?
Yeah, I'll start with Devin Townsend giving an interview and saying this is the person we all learned how to do that good cop, bad cop vocal style from. It's the 1992 album Angel Dust. And that was the first time I'd heard a heavy record. I remember when I finally understood it, thinking, I'm just listening to the vocals here. I don't even care about the guitars, you know, even though they're really impressive. And I'd never had that experience listening to heavy music because I was a guitar player by training at the time, and I would just listen and think, oh, are they playing a D minor pentatonic solo there, or that's a nice key change. And then that was the first time I heard music and started really listening to the vocals. And he has got, you could almost say, I don't think we use the term split personality now, do we? But there are so many different personalities in his vocals. He can do anything. You know, he can do the John Tardy obituary death metal rasp, and then he can do the Lionel Richie croon. It's just incredible. And you watch Faith No More live, and he can just flip it like a switch, and he's never going to lose his vocals. It's just natural talent. But yeah, the other ones I would consider would be Greg Puciato from Dillinger Escape Plan, certainly Devin Townsend, and yeah, I have always liked Chris Cornell. That 1991 album, Bad Motorfinger, wow, that is incredible. Just one last point, I want to pick up on Dave said though. Everyone I've mentioned, you're right, Dave, I don't think any of them can sustain later on in their career what they were doing. They all changed their style. Can I just ask, is that something that you have to do as you age, do you think? Change your style?
I mean, I don't know because I'm not that old. But
true, yeah, that was not my point. Yeah.
But I do think it's probably natural, just human growth. You know, everyone at some point blows their voice out and they've got to relearn something. So it could be down to that. It could be down to stylistically changing. Look at Corey Taylor from Slipknot. He's massively changed his style. I mean, Slipknot, the latest album, doesn't sound anything like the early stuff because they've just grown. So maybe it's that. Yeah.
On that, a good example of that, Kirk, the band that I think you've heard me mention before, Flotsam and Jetsam.
Yeah.
Their second album, No Place for Disgrace, their vocalist Eric A.K, what a voice he has on that album. It's, you know, power, really high notes as well. They done a re-recording of that album 20 years later, and his vocal approach is just sort of, you know, it's almost the bare minimum output. You know, the high notes he's kind of shying away from, and I think, as you said, Dave, it's just natural aging of the human body, which affects everything, including your singing voice.
Yeah. It's a muscle, so they get tired, they get achy, they get old. Need work. Alan, go on for you. So explain why, whichever one you're going to pick, or both, why they all...
Do you know, my reasons are the same for both, if I'm honest.
Okay.
It's, and in slightly different ways, I suppose, is tone and range. And what I mean by that is that both, so like in Miles' sense, he's got a vocal tone that I just love. First time I really came across it was on the One Day Remains album that Alterbridge released first, and I hadn't at that point heard anything like it. The range the man had at that point was just unreal. I've mentioned it before. Obviously I kind of found Killswitch Engage when Jesse was still in the band, but then they released Rose of Sharon and then End of Heartache to follow, and Howard just has his character. The character on that man's voice, I believe, is second to none. But of course, he's got the flip side of having that real raw, aggressive metal screaming tone underneath it. And I can't quite explain it other than a character and a tone. It's a feel that I think they both had. You know, earlier in their career. Howard still probably has it now, but I've not heard much back from Light the Torch in their new band. Recently, they had an album a few years ago, but I've yet to see what they're doing right now. But that was just character and tone. But to on the point of vocalists kind of like fading later, I believe in the same way that Brian Johnson had to stop with AC/DC, it was because of his hearing, and I believe that's why Miles is struggling. That's why they've got those Perspex noise shields in front of the cymbals. I think it's because he really struggles to hear, and so therefore he has to back off. And of course, if you can't hear what you're singing, you're not in tune, you're going to struggle, aren't you?
Yeah. They've actually started using it in ears.
Yeah. But I don't, like I saw Alterbridge on their first UK tour in like 2005, I think, something silly like that. And yeah, they were... You know, you could smoke in the gig room back then, so there was smoke everywhere. There was no in-ears whatsoever, and you know, nearly 20 years ago. But so I imagine that you would struggle if you're doing that almost like 300 days of the year. But yeah, they're my two. That's why it's, you know, it's tone, it's character, and there are loads of them for that reason. Frankly.
Okay, over to you, Dave.
Yeah. So to be fair, it's very much in the same vein as Alan. It's I prefer character in vocals rather than, you know, amazingly technical, like blow your fucking head off kind of vocals. I prefer like a tone or like a characteristic. So originally I loved Miles Kennedy's voice, and I still do, I really do. But in the last maybe 6-7 years, maybe, it might be a little bit unfair to put a time frame on it, but his vocals live, from what I've seen, aren't quite doing the same thing, because he uses his head voice, which gives a different tone and a different characteristic to the higher notes, which need power. And like Alan said, they've started using in-ears because of hearing problems. And I think because of that, he's then also changed how he does things. But since he started doing that, I adore Mark Tremonti's way of writing, as in like riffs and songs. And his voice has just skyrocketed within the last maybe 5 years. It's just gone mental. I mean, it could be that he always had those pipes, but never used them because Miles Kennedy was there. But hearing earlier Mark Tremonti stuff, he's got such like a clean vibrato, and it's just really characteristic. You know, it's him straight away, which is why he then went on to play with the Frank Sinatra's band and do a charity album with Frank Sinatra's band, and to do a load of Frank Sinatra covers, and they're wicked, man. They're good. really good. So yeah, that's probably why I like Tremonti, because he almost sings like Miles, but a little bit more powerful on the low end. He can't reach the same notes, of course not. I don't think anyone can. But yeah, so I'd probably say that would be why I like characteristic voices, or anyone that sounds different. So yeah.
All right. So before I give mine, I'm just going to read out a few of the comments that have come through in the chat. So James from Millstone says, with a lot of these big singers, I think the brutal touring schedule takes a big toll on your voice after 10, 20, 40 years, etc. A stranger guys have said Greg Pucciato. Yeah, that guy. For me, amazing screams and great clean. So they're one of his favourite bands or vocalists. Ant from Lowdown says Miles confirmed he has awful ears nowadays, and also says Anders from In Flames has an amazing ability to transform from singing to screaming. Yeah, he's not the best clean singer, but he can switch it up so smoothly. So there's some comments from Ant as well there. Okay, so why did I pick Lizzie Howell?
She's phenomenal.
She's phenomenal. It's again, we've almost all said the same word, range. It's the fact she has a beautiful clean voice. She has a huge amount of power in her screams. She can get guttural, she can get aggressive. She's got an amazing character in her voice. There are a lot of singers that I like, but depending on my mood, I may not be in the mood for their vocals. So we talked about Zakk Wylde. I love Black Label Society, but there are some times I'm just not in the mood for his vocal tone. But with Lizzie Howell, she's got a vocal tone for every mood. So I can put it on any Hailstorm album and I'll love it no matter what mood I'm in. There'll be something in there for me, whereas I don't think I have that in any other band. I don't get that sort of variety from an album or from a vocal performance. So that's why Lizzie Howell is basically my favourite singer. There we go. That was our first topic. Very good.